In this video, we will discuss what access to the general curriculum really means for students with disabilities. At this point, I would like to demonstrate what happens when assistive technology encounters content that has not been designed to meet accessibility standards. The assistive technology, or AT, that I will be using for this demonstration is called Read and Write Gold. Read and Write Gold is a toolbar that has a variety of supports for people with disabilities. In addition to this AT, the first set of content we will look at is inside a product called SchoolNet. This is a product that districts often use to create custom-made curriculum materials or to develop benchmark tests. I have opened a reading benchmark test in SchoolNet. You are seeing the test in the developer's view. This is the view the teacher or curriculum specialist would use to create content. I am going to select some of the text to demonstrate that text can be selected in the developer's view and read with the text-to-speech tool on the Read and Write Gold toolbar. When I select some of the text with the mouse, it highlights in blue. This is an indication that my assistive technology will be able to access the text. When I activate the text-to-speech feature, you will see that it will read back what I have highlighted.
A bird came down the walk he did not know I saw.
As long as I can see and am able to use a mouse, I can select text and read it with the text-to-speech feature on the Read and Write Gold toolbar. Now we are going to preview the online test to see what the students would actually encounter when trying to take this test. The test is going to be pulled up in a browser window. The first thing you will notice is that the color contrast between the yellow text and the white background is very low. The contrast on the Start button is also not very good. There are people with visual disabilities who would find the text on this screen very difficult, if not impossible, to see. Second, I am going to demonstrate what would happen if I were a student with a visual impairment or a physical impairment that prohibited me from using a mouse. You will notice that there is a button in the middle of the screen that says Start Test Now. I am going to try to access that button without my mouse. To do this, I will press my Tab key and my up and down arrow keys. As I press these keys, try to see where my keystrokes are taking me on the screen. You will notice that there is no way to tell where the computer's focus is because there is no visual indicator. The only activity you see as I tab is on the Read and Write Gold toolbar. There is nothing going on in the content I am trying to access, and I am unable to get to the Start button with my keyboard. Also, for content to be accessible, there needs to be a visual focus indicator for people who can see but have to use the keyboard to navigate. I'm going to go ahead and start the test with my mouse, and we will see what the test would look like for a student. I'm going to try to select the first verse of the poem with my mouse, but you will notice that the text is no longer highlighting in blue. It is highlighting in yellow. When this test went from the developer view to the student view, a conversion was made to the text that made it inaccessible to any assistive technology. This was done on purpose to keep students from being able to read the text with any kind of text reader due to current testing policies. Even so, many testing policies currently allow the questions and answers to be read for students with qualifying disabilities. So, if I want to use my assistive technology to read what I am allowed to have read to me, I am going to find that there are additional barriers that will prohibit effective access for students with certain types of disabilities. Since I am at the top of this page, I am going to activate the text-to-speech feature on the Read and Write Gold toolbar to see if it will read the page to me in a logical, understandable manner. When I do that, this is what you're going to hear.
McSorley, Janet, English reading MOII 12:13. Hello Janet McSorley. Please click on the Start Test Now button to begin English reading MOII 12:13 test. Good luck. Read and review question 1. Test response summary. Now's your chance to go over and double check your answers before the test is graded. Warning, you have questions. Warning, some answers may not have saved properly. Please click here to copy your answers to the clipboard.
I think you get the picture. The test is not designed to allow my assistive technology to read content from the top of the page should I feel the need to just listen to what is on the screen before starting. At least it told us good luck, because if we are students with disabilities, we are going to need all the luck we can get to take this test independently and actually demonstrate what we know instead of demonstrating our disabilities. Again, if I try to tab through this test to get to any of the content, I am not able to access anything without a mouse. Remember, many testing policies allow students with certain types of disabilities to have test questions and responses read to them. But on this screen, if I move my mouse to question number 1 and try to select it, I can't. The reason I can't select this question is that it is now a picture. It is no longer actual text. I know this because my mouse pointer changes to a circle with a line through it to indicate I am out of luck if I want to select this text. When I try to select all of the answer choices with my mouse, I have a very difficult time controlling the selection. A person with a physical or visual disability who cannot use a mouse, or someone with limited mouse control, would not be able to complete this task independently. In the process of trying to select the answer choices so that I can read them, I accidentally chose an answer. You can see how frustrating this experience would be for a person with a disability who needs to use assistive technology to interact with content. So let's move to the second example of inaccessible content. A student on our AT caseload was asked to complete a reading assignment using this Scholastic product. Obviously, when you pull this product up in a browser window, nobody can see the actual content because it is a reduced graphic image. Even so, let's just explore the screen a little bit to see what a student without a disability would do to access this. There are controls along the bottom that allow students to enlarge the image so that they can read the text. You can only access these controls with a mouse. If I try to tab or arrow to the controls, nothing happens and I can't get to the controls or the content by the keyboard. This is an entirely visual interface that requires vision, the ability to read printed text without assistance, and the ability to use a mouse. If I try to select text so that my text-to-speech tool can read to me, I am not able to do so. The mouse simply grabs the image and moves it around the screen. If I try to read the entire screen with my text-to-speech tool,
1.
it does not read the content to me. The only way I can read this text at all is to use the screenshot reader in my Read and Write Gold toolbar. The screenshot reader will copy what I select and convert it from a picture into text. It will then place the text into Microsoft Word, and then I will be able to use my text-to-speech tool in Read and Write Gold to read the converted text. I'm going to select a section of text on the bottom. I have to have very good control when using a mouse or I won't select all of the text I am needing to have converted. Also, if I don't have good mouse control, I might accidentally select some of the text in the sidebar. Once I have selected the text, the screenshot reader puts the text into Microsoft Word, but you will notice that it is just floating in the middle of a page. It does not put it at the top left of the page, so the student would have to scroll to look for the text. So you can see that students with certain types of disabilities are going to have to expend a lot more physical and cognitive energy just to access the content that students without disabilities can access easily. Students with certain types of disabilities would not be able to access this content at all. Obviously, this is not an example of equally effective access, and there is really no justification for presenting content in this manner. This is an avoidable, man-made barrier to access for students with disabilities. This concludes the demonstration of what happens when AT meets inaccessible content. If you have any questions, please contact Jan McSorley at mcsorleyjan@gmail.com. That's MC, S as in Sam, ORLEYJAN @gmail.com. You can also get assistance with any accessibility needs you may have by contacting Sharon Rush at Nobility Inc. Sharon's email address is srush@nobility.org. That's SRUSH@KNOWBILITY.org. Thanks for watching.